All right. Welcome back, my regular viewers, listeners, and watchers. And of course, if you happen to be here for the very first time, welcome. Before I go any further, my name is Rahul George, India's premier iHypnosis coach and your personal guide. And with this, of course, a very warm welcome to the iHypnosis coaching journeys. This is a podcast that has been created for you, especially if you are a digital coach and healer. And over the course of these next many minutes, I am really looking forward to my special guest. Some of you may already know her. Her name is Rahath Afroz. And of course, I have met, let me put it this way, I met Rahath close to almost a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And from the very first frame of us meeting, I knew that she is somebody who's extremely special, and I've been very blessed to have seen her uh, transform and her transformation continue over the last year plus. So, of course, with that, I am now officially inviting you in, Rahat. You can go ahead and turn on your camera. This is your cue. And I'm really looking forward to hearing more about, you, your journey, your story, and, how you are seeing your life shift, because I know that it's not just, and I know you know this as well, it's not just about your story, it's about so much more. And I truly believe, it's a blessing for me to have, met you when I did. And with that, of course, now I am, handing this over to you. So go ahead and, welcome in.
Thank you so much, Rahul. It's absolutely an honor to be here, to be sharing this space with you. Because I remember, like you said, 2 years ago, when we first met, I was very fascinated with the work you do.
Mhm.
NLP always fascinated me because I believed NLP is magic
Mm,
and didn't know what exactly it was, but all I knew was it is magic.
right.
But since then, learning, experimenting with myself, I have seen the change. It's
Mm,
absolutely a
yes.
magic, is what I believe now. I thought
Mhm.
it was magic. Now I believe it's magic. So I think magic means a lot more different to every individual. But for me, what
Sure.
NLP has done is completely magical things. And if I'm here talking something, it's
Mm,
either because I have implemented some of these things in my life directly, indirectly,
sure.
now learning, helping my students do
Yes.
that. So that's been a journey.
Yeah.
Thank you, and it's an absolute honor to share this space with you.
So, I when I hear words like this, one is, of course, I know that I'm, it's amongst kindred spirits, because when someone talks about NLP and they use the word magic and they talk about how it is, transforming, how it is changing their life and the lives of people who are in their life. Um, I know that, you're in for something truly special. You've started to taste it, you've started to see it, and I know that over the coming years, you're really going to grow in ways that you haven't even imagined yet.
Absolutely.
So I'm really glad that uh, that we're having this conversation. And just to put this into context, we were just in fact talking about this before we went live. uh, you were technically you were my first guest, right?
Yeah,
In fact, we are
exactly.
now on episode number 11 of the hypnosis coaching journeys, and way back then, you were slated to be, my first guest. But I've also come to recognize that there truly is a time and place for everything. And I know that today, when you share with us, your story, the journey that you've been on, and how you've reached the point today in your journey, how every little thing has been shaping, in preparation for the amazing things that are coming your way. So I'd love for you to share, at this point, like, what do you do today, and like how did you get to this point? Especially when we talk about digital coaches, we talk about healers. um, I know we are a special breed, and I'm just going to say that, right? I've been fortunate to have lived this life for as a a coach and a healer for now 20 years. I consider it, I can say this with a little bit of, not necessarily with swag, but with that conviction that we truly are a special group of people.
Absolutely, I believe
So
that.
and I have to keep reminding myself that this is about you. So I want to
Uh,
how did you get here?
all right. So, to formally introduce myself, I'm a sales coach. But if you ask
Mm,
me, if you ask the little child in me who I want to be, is just a coach.
wow.
Just a coach. I don't want to add a label that this is what I can do, because what I believe is coaches can do anything, possibly
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
Even one powerful conversation with anybody, a
Mm,
stranger, can
mm, yeah.
just turn around people's
True.
lives.
True.
So I believe that I am more of a coach than just a sales
Mm,
coach. But as the logical mind wants a label to it, so I would say I'm a sales coach. I help people
right.
elevate their sales game, the
Mm,
inner sales game,
mm,
right? So that's what I help coaches with. And how I just landed up being a coach is, I don't know. It was all
right.
destined. Uh, I am basically an engineering graduate.
Okay.
Then moved into a family business for almost 8 years.
Mm,
Saw the ups and downs, good and bad, of the business entirely, especially in an industry where it was mostly surrounded by men.
mm,
For me to stand out, put up my point, was at times very difficult,
mm,
which completely broke down my confidence, changed me
mm,
from who
mm,
I was before joining the business. 8 years
mm,
completely changed me. Then it was time that I took charge of things for my own
mm,
good.
mm,
Asked my father that I just want to take a backseat from this business, and started figuring out what is that I can do.
right.
Today, when I say I want to be a coach, that was not something that I decided when I was starting this journey. I
Right.
just wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Mm,
Uh, and it's all started by learning digital stuff,
mm,
digital marketing, Facebook marketing, and all of that.
right. Right.
Moving into this industry, when I came across the personal development side, which was, I think, this was a journey I had to take, get connected to
Right.
people, and then come across one of my mentor, Blair, and that was a transformational period. The 1.5 year
Mm,
that I have seen
mm,
has changed me as a person,
mm,
and has made me understand that sales is a way that I can help entrepreneurs
mm, mm,
to be in their best form,
mm.
right? Everyone
Yeah.
wants sales. By end of the day, if
True.
you're an entrepreneur,
True.
if you're a coach,
Yep.
you do need sales. But
Yep.
most of them don't understand that sales
Mm,
is mostly an internal game than
yep.
the numbers, the revenues. You are able to hit the numbers and revenues only when you are
Mm,
aligned with yourself.
true.
Most of the time, that alignment is missing. You make a lot of
Mm,
money even if you are misaligned, but you do hit one hits a glass ceiling.
yep.
What
True.
after that?
True.
Do you go outwards, or you do start watching inwards?
Mm,
That's where I come into
I love
picture.
that. I'm going to pause you here because you said something very, very powerful. You said either you go outwards or you watch yourself inwards.
Yes,
That's so powerful. And I know you're saying this from personal experience, right?
absolutely.
I'd love for you to share a little bit more. Like, nowadays we use this term double click, right? So I want you to double click on this. When you say watch yourself inwards, tell me, like, share a little bit more about what that experience has been for you as you've been. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, when I started my journey, I was making quite good money. My family business was
Mm,
running fine. So, there was no such need of an steady income,
mm,
any of that. I didn't have
mm,
any of that
mm,
requirement in life. But there was
mm,
always something missing. I started as a coach also 1.5 year ago, almost 2 years
mm,
ago. I
mm,
started with high ticket programs, marketing and sales
mm,
programs. I
mm,
did hit high tickets. It was not fulfilling yet.
mm,
It was still not fulfilling. Although there was money coming, everything was
mm.
fine. I didn't realize why I was not happy.
Right.
The reason I believed was I was pleasing people to work with me.
Wow.
I was not being in my. I'm not a person who likes pleasing, but I was still doing it
Mm,
unconsciously because
mm,
I thought I need to do something like that to get sales, to make that
right.
kind of money.
Mm,
But when I realized I need to stop pleasing people, this happened to
mm,
me in one of my personal development programs itself.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
the moment of realization, like you say, double
mm.
click, right? When that
Yeah.
happened, I
Mm-hmm.
started owning my power. That's when I realized people
Right.
pleasing is not what I can do, not what I
Mm,
should be doing as well,
right.
and started stepping into my own power, accepting
Right.
myself, loving
Mm,
myself, and that not just changed the way I look, the way people have a perspective about me, also my income. It
wow.
made a drastic change in my income as well, and the way I
Mm,
started building relationships after that. um,
mm,
I no more felt the need of having people irrespective of who they are, right?
right.
I wanted people to love me as I am.
Mm,
If I don't like them, I have a gate open.
mm,
I will not ask people to stay back in my life if there's no
right.
alignment.
Right.
And that's in a way a lot of things changed in relationships in business.
Mm,
And I think that was a moment that I knew even before that marketing and sales is what I want to do.
mm,
I know
mm,
even now marketing and sales is what I wish to do. But
mm,
for me now it's all about working inwards. Even if you are making good amount of
mm,
money, if you want to move 10 times faster,
mm,
the one thing that will help you is looking inwards. What is
mm,
that is not helping you move 10 times faster when
mm, mm,
you can?
right.
So that's how
Mm,
things changed for me. And
mm,
I would say me meeting me was
nice.
was uh, was that time that this transformation happened, and
Mm,
I still, that breakthrough happened, and I still
mm,
love to operate from that moment, from that place.
mm, mm,
Operating from that place where I got that breakthrough still helps me get
mm,
results which I want for my clients, for my students, and for myself.
mm,
Once I am in that zone of where I achieved that breakthrough, once we are out of that
mm,
space, once we are out of that bubble that we have built,
mm,
right? I think even we can't protect ourselves.
yeah.
It's important to
Yeah.
go back, remember what
True.
happened
Mm,
that we got this breakthrough.
yeah.
What was the time? What was the feeling when we
Mm,
achieved it? So
yeah.
it's very important for me to keep revisiting that point
Right.
and start keep operating from that place. And
Mm,
that one thing has helped me. It's
mm,
almost a year since I did train the trainer, and that is the time
mm,
when things changed for me. And it's
mm,
going to be a year, right?
wow.
And I think I was
Yeah.
ready for that at that time, because I was
Mm,
not a
mm,
brilliant coach. I was not earning making enough money to invest into new programs.
mm,
If if that was the idea that I had, I wanted to earn and invest,
right.
but I didn't have that kind of funds with me to invest into
Mm,
programs like that.
mm,
But I still invested. I
yeah.
think it was all destined, although I cracked deals just because I intended to make for that program,
Yeah.
right? make
Yeah.
make the
Yeah.
payment for those programs.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
that changed, and the first
Mm.
day of the program changed the entire trajectory of my life.
Mm.
I believe that was one moment, but what led me to that
Mm.
day was a lot more other events. And
Mm.
I believe I was ready for that. Like you were saying, I was
Mm.
supposed to be the first guest on this show, uh, but now I am the 11th. It is
Yeah.
more powerful. The one and the
Yes.
one. It's more
Yes.
powerful. The me
Yes.
a month ago is different. The
Yeah.
me today is more different.
Yeah.
Maybe the one we will meet later will be more different.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's a change happening within us every
Mm.
day.
Mm.
But the question is, are we allowing ourselves?
Mm.
Are we
Mm.
welcoming that change? That's
Beautiful.
more important. And I think
Mm.
I learned to welcome it. I learned to embrace that
Mm.
change. That's the reason I'm here.
Right. Right. So there's something inside me that's asking me to tell you this and to ask you this. Can you take us back to that point where it was before you had that moment of the right, that you had that internal something
Mm.
clicked, something shifted? And I won't even put words in your mouth. I'm saying the experience that you had, and that when you the moment of realization
Mm-hmm.
was what it was, right?
Okay.
So yeah, that's it, you got it. So it's like, yeah. So take us to that point just before it, right? Mm.
So I don't know if a lot of your audience knows me that a year
Mm.
ago I used to wear a hijab.
Mm.
I'll give a disclaimer. I'm not against
Sure.
it. I'm not
Sure.
against any principles of
Mm-hmm.
Islam. I follow
Mm-hmm.
Islam with
Mm-hmm.
all my heart. I
Mm-hmm.
still believe hijab is for the good.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I started wearing a hijab was
Mm.
for people to love me,
Mm.
was for people to accept me in a certain way. For
Mm.
whatever happened in my past, for whatever things
Mm.
that had happened,
Mm.
I desperately wanted people to love me, accept me. But when that moment happened,
Mm.
uh, that uh, realization kicked in that why am I
Mm.
doing it? It was because I was not accepting myself the way I was.
Right. Right.
I was not loving the way I was. So,
Mm.
what needed to change?
Mm.
It was me. It
Right.
was me. My perspective about me is what needed to change.
Mm.
And once I thought, yes, I need to change something about me, irrespective of
Mm.
people like me or not,
Mm.
I was like, okay, hijab. That was one way to express love for myself. That
Right.
I am not sure if I'll wear hijab again, and I'm open to
Right.
that. I'm absolutely
Mm.
open to that. If I
Mm.
feel someday that yes, it is time for me to uh,
Yes.
get back and wear my hijab again, I will do it for myself. I will do it
Mm.
for the love of the Almighty that I have,
Mm.
but
Mm.
not to please people,
Beautiful.
not for people to love me because I am a certain way, I follow
Right.
things a certain way. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
that was the moment that changed everything.
Mm.
And the moment I
Right.
started looking at myself differently, or
Mm.
actually the way I am, the real me, that's
Mm.
when everything else shifted. That's when I
Mm.
saw people loved me irrespective of who I was, what I was wearing, what I was following. That perception also changed.
Mm.
I was okay with people who loved me. I was okay with people who didn't like me.
Mm.
I was absolutely comfortable in my skin with that. Whereas before that, I wanted everyone to love me. I wanted it, and that's practically impossible. Now I believe
Right.
that it is practically impossible to everybody to like me. And it's good if they don't like me. There is something that I can keep
Yeah.
improving.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
true.
So that was a moment, that before and
Mm.
after thing. Every time I did something, even for me to join my family business, the reason
Mm.
was If I support my father like a son,
Mm.
maybe
Wow.
I'll have a different kind of respect in the
Mm.
family. Maybe
Mm.
I'll have different kind of respect in the society कि
Mm.
लड़की होके भी इतना काम कर रही है अपने पापा के
Right.
साथ. She's
Right.
supporting her dad so much. So
Amazing.
I always took decisions based on what people will perceive me if I take this decision. How will
Mm.
people see me if I take this decision?
Mm.
I never realized that will I be happy if I take this decision?
Right.
Will I wake up every day with an
Mm.
intention, like I woke up today with a certain intention, and that
Yes.
drives me forward, right?
Wow.
uh,
Yeah.
I did not think earlier, am I waking up with an intention that I am excited
Right.
to work on?
Yeah.
Now it
Yeah.
inspires me. Every day I wake up with
Mm.
an intention to do something. That
Mm.
intention inspires me to keep on going.
Mm.
There are days that
Beautiful.
I have 6 to 7 calls lined up in a day,
Mm.
and each
Mm.
call takes a huge toll on me,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Emotionally draining, physically
100%. Yeah.
draining.
Yeah.
But by end of the day I'll still have that kind of energy for the
Yeah.
community sessions,
Yeah.
uh, and the same kind of intention to make a
Mm.
difference to anybody I am having a conversation with,
Mm.
and that
Mm.
inspires me every day, right?
Right. Mm.
That didn't happen earlier.
Mm.
Only intention
Mm.
was, is somebody happy with me? Now
Right.
the thing is, am I happy with what I'm doing? Am I
Right.
making a difference? That's all
Wow.
matters when I wake up.
Wow. Wow.
And I know the money is flowing properly as much as
Mm.
I want,
Mm. Mm.
and it'll grow. And
Yep.
that's I don't need to tell people how much I am making, because I'm making enough
Mm.
for myself. I'm making
Right.
enough for the things that I want in my life.
Right.
I'm
Right.
making enough to give a good life to my family. I think that's
Mm.
more than sufficient. I don't have to have labels as
Mm.
such that this
Yep.
is how much I am making
Mm-hmm.
to keep growing my business.
Mm.
So that's what I believe. And
Yeah.
what I measure is, I had a conversation with this person today. Did
Mm.
anything change for that person?
Mm.
Is that person
Right.
having a quantum shift today with by having just a
Right.
conversation? And it's okay
Right.
if they're not having also. Maybe that
Mm.
conversation will not help them right now.
Mm.
Over the time, is that going to remind them of something?
Mm.
That's the
Mm.
absolute difference.
Amazing.
A Rahat before and a Rahat now.
Amazing.
This
Amazing.
Rahat gives a lot of Rahat to me.
Yes. Oh, this is so powerful. I'm reminded, this is like I'm going back to my childhood days. I'm reminded of, I don't know if it was an Tinkle or an Amar Chitra Katha, one of those, animated comic books from way back, right?
Hmm.
And there was this one particular story about how, and I mean, this is what I took away as a kid, but it's so beautiful the way you framed it right now. In that story, what I took away was that most people are the opposite in character to their name.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, that was like the message that I got from that story way back, and it's always brought a smile to my face. It's always amazed me that it's actually true. Most people will have like these beautiful names, but their behavior, outward behavior, is usually the polar opposite. It's almost like they have their name contains the light, and their behavior is like the darkness. So
Darkness.
it's like when you talk about the shadow, right? So people are like behaving in the shadow, but their name is actually an indicator of who they are. And now it's so beautiful to hear you say this, because you've been through that. Like there's this expression in English which is like the dark night of the soul, right? I want to say this here is not just one dark night, right? I've been through it myself, and I know that you've been through it from what you shared already. It's not one night, it's not one moment. It's like this prolonged dark night
Yeah.
until there is that moment of, I get it, right? So,
Absolutely.
so before we go further, I still Because there's
I'll
so much.
like to add
Go ahead.
something here.
Yes, yes, yes,
Like you said,
yes.
people are opposite to their names. That's now I believe that there is a congruence between me and my name. But
Mm.
all
So well
over the
said.
time, last 28, 29 years that I have
Mm.
lived, now I'm
Mm.
30, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I've lived 20. I somewhere believed my parents chose a wrong name for me.
Right.
And that's what everybody else told me also.
Mm.
राहत नाम है किसको राहत देती है.
Right.
And I believe that same thing. I create mess
Mm.
wherever I go
Mm.
because I thought I'm a messy person. And I
Mm.
created mess around, be it in my
Mm.
college, be it in my university days. Every time
Mm.
I was like this rowdy kind of a person in my college,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So Rahat and
Right.
that old personality were not in true alignment. We're not in true alignment. I always told, why have you chosen a guy's name for me?
Mm.
Every time a teacher calls out attendance, she's looking at the
Right.
boys' side, sitting in the class, from where will the present ma'am come up? And I'm like, I'm here. It's a girl. I'm here. Right? But I always used to tell my parents, my sister was opposite. You gave her such a
Right.
beautiful name. Why did you not
Mm.
give me that name? It was all. It
Mm.
used to be always a tiff in the family that what
Right.
name have you chosen for me?
Mm.
Now I think
Mm.
I have started radiating Rahat, and now what I
Mm.
hear from people every time they hear my name, oh, what a
Mm.
beautiful name,
Right.
right? Uh,
Amazing.
your presence is giving us Rahat. So that means
Mm.
I have started radiating
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or else it's
Yeah.
not possible. Earlier I didn't radiate, and
Right.
that's a difference. That's a whole, that speaks
Right.
volumes about what
Mm.
the journey has been. There's this
Yes.
one moment,
Yes.
aha moment, that like you just expressed.
Yes. Yes.
That's,
Yes.
I think that's what completely changes things around.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
has been, and
So,
now when you talk about it, I can, yeah, this is what happened
yes.
always.
Yes. Yes. So I want to pause here again for a reason. You said it in passing earlier, and you'll remember it in a moment. What you say now is that you're able to step into that part of your life where you went into the aha zone again.
Mm,
Ah, I get it. And you remind yourself, correct me if I'm wrong, pretty much every day when you forget to step back into, when I say step back into, to step into that moment of the aha or the realization, right? But I want to ask you a slightly different question. When you finally had that moment, right? For some people it's a click, for some people it's a oh, for some people it's a bolt of light, right? And
mm,
having studied language like you are now in the process of, you know that every expression is actually something which is happening to that person. For some
yeah,
people they hear a voice, for some people they get this sensation, and from that moment on they've like, it's like they've switched a switch, right? Share with us that next morning when you woke up, what was that?
for me that was power. That was kind of a power that was raging all over my
Mm.
body.
Ooh.
That I remember the very next day, I
Yeah.
was a very different person. And
Mm.
everybody that saw me in that room the next day was like,
Mm.
what just happened last night?
So I'm going to pause you again uh, to rewind that part where when you woke up and you were feeling it, and you're like, this is power. It's raging, right? Like really sense it. It's like, the golden words are, see what you saw, hear what you heard, and feel what you felt then, now. And just like take us along with you, because this is why we all do this work. This is why
Right,
we keep learning as adults,
right.
even though technically we don't need to, right? We know that this is that moment that we all wish for.
Absolutely, absolutely. That day, as a
Mm,
trainer, as a coach, my intention got really, really
mm,
stronger because I
mm,
was reminded of the power that I had, always
mm,
always
mm,
carried, and I believed um, that that was my moral responsibility
Mm,
to remind people of how
mm,
powerful they are, because
mm,
I was reminded by someone that how powerful I am.
mm, mm.
I would not say one person reminded me, that there were
Sure.
a couple of
Mm,
people, good,
yeah.
bad,
Yeah.
ugly, worst, people who came
Mm-hmm.
and made me lose that power, so that I
Mm.
get reminded of it, that
Yes.
there is something about you,
Yes.
right? And for
Yeah.
me, that intention got very strong that day, that
Mm,
I want to be doing this work,
mm,
not just to help people get make
mm,
that income that
mm,
they are making, but
mm,
rather understand the power that they have and how they
mm,
can operate from that place every day, not just for themselves, for the
mm,
families, for the
mm,
people that they
mm,
are helping in
mhm.
any form, any way, even if it is, even if you're doing, if you're just starting off. I
Yeah.
just want people to know that there is something about you, that you
Mm,
have come to this place, you have come to this industry. Even if you're seriously only here to make money, that's okay, but understand there
mm.
is one little bit that you have that you can offer to people.
Yes.
Money is just a subsidiary of it.
Mm,
There is something that you are supposed to be doing,
mm,
which will come to you at the right time.
mm,
Right
mm.
now it might be just
Yeah.
money, it might be just the income, it might be just the
Mm,
luxurious
mhm,
lifestyle you get to
mhm.
live as a coach, which I believe you don't. That's a myth a lot of people have, that coaches live a luxurious life. There goes a lot of work for you
Mm,
to become that kind of
mm,
coach who can
mm,
afford that luxury, right?
mm.
uh, Definitely there is a lot of money, but if you are here, placed here, there is absolutely a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand that purpose, it doesn't come to them
Mm,
immediately. But
correct.
if they are in a place where they are open to receive
Mm,
that,
beautiful.
open to receive that kind of signals that
Wow.
universe is sending you, I'm sure you will make a whole lot of money and a whole lot of difference in people's life.
Mm, yeah.
And that money will keep on expanding. You'll have to make
Mm,
special lockers to keep it, right?
yeah.
That is the kind of
Beautiful.
money you will make once you
Mm,
understand what your purpose is.
mm,
And
mm. I'm
you
actually reminded, and I'll just pause you here only because you said something so powerful. You remember the intention that you set before we went live,
yeah.
right? Can you share that with people who are listening to you, because it so strongly, you know, says it from the heart.
uh, when I woke up today, like, this was something planned. I knew we are going to meet today, and when I
Hmm.
imagined the kind of day I want to have, um, I was just having one thought. I want people to know how powerful they are, and
Yeah.
even if it is making a quantum shift in them,
Mm,
that's more than sufficient,
mm,
because that one quantum shift will only grow exponentially over the time.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like they say, your journey will be linear at most of the time. Your journey is linear, and there will be one moment where it'll
Yes.
just explode and it'll go exponential. Just wait for
Beautiful.
that, just wait for
Mm,
that. And
mm,
this is just, you're accumulating a lot of quantum
mm,
shifts to
mm,
explore and
mm-hmm,
experience that
mm.
exponential growth.
Yep. Yeah.
So even a little minor shift, if I'm able to bring in for people who are
Mm,
watching, and maybe something
mm.
will come happen to me when I'm having a conversation.
Yes.
There
Yes.
is there will be a quantum shift in me that will happen, and I'm
Mm,
open to that. And that's the
mm,
only intention I have, that when people are listening to this,
right.
I want them to be in a place where they are able to receive
Mm,
that, accept that,
nice.
embrace that.
Nice. Mm, amazing. Amazing. What a what a powerful place to pause, because I'd love for you to share maybe two or three stories. Or I mean, again, I'm just giving you numbers. You pick your number. Things that, or moments that happen in your life that when they happened, you literally were like, why is this happening to me? Like, what did I do to deserve this then? But now you're like, I'm so glad it happened then.
Yes. One story that's so strong in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody treated me a certain way, right? And
Mm,
I always thought, what is wrong with me, and why is this
mm,
happening to me? Why?
mm, mm,
Why will anyone want to experience this kind of thing? Why is
mm,
God doing this to me? I always had that thought, and I always thought that maybe I am not good enough. Maybe
mm,
there is something that's lacking in me. I need to
mm,
work on that. And I absolutely didn't see what is wrong with me at that time,
mm,
right?
mm,
And I still believe nothing was wrong with me.
mm,
But today, when I look back at that incident that happened, a lot of
mm,
incidents that happened that time, I believe that I was meant to go
yeah.
through that to
Mm,
help people understand,
mm,
or to tell that story right now. Maybe I
yes.
went through that so that I can be a catalyst for other people who might go through
Mm,
the similar situation
mm,
and lose their power completely. I lost my power completely during
mm,
that time of my life, and
mm,
even now it definitely is not a good thing for anyone to happen, but I am at a
mm,
place that it doesn't affect me like it used to. I will not say it doesn't affect me completely, it still
mm,
does. and i'm
mm.
and I'm open to tell that I'm not still okay with it.
Sure.
It still disturbs me. uh, it gives me sleepless nights at times,
Mm,
but uh, I think my purpose is somewhere hidden in
yeah.
that story,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm uncovering it layer by layer,
Mm,
layer by layer.
yeah.
And once that is super clear to me, I will only shine out of the light that I
Yeah.
have inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything that happens now, I believe,
Mm,
today, it's easier to say now. For
yeah.
people who are listening, it might just look like a story from the book, right?
Mm,
A movie story, शाहरुख खान आ गया, सब बदल गया लाइफ
mm,
में, तो
mm,
ऐसा नहीं है. But it takes a lot of courage for you to
yeah.
accept that this happened for you for
Yeah.
some bigger purpose, and
Mm, mm,
and the universe or God
mm,
or whoever you believe
mm,
the superpower is, has chosen you to be
mm,
that source where
yeah.
people get something out of you. And
Mm,
I am glad that I'm one of them.
mm,
And I think everyone has that story to tell.
mm,
It's just that, do they choose to tell it or not?
right.
And even if they don't choose to tell it,
Mm,
how are they using that incident in their life
mm,
to make something better out of their present life,
yeah.
rather than dwelling into that कि मेरे
Mm,
साथ क्यों हो गया.
yeah.
There,
I also sense, I didn't mean to cut you off. I also sense that even to talk about it like this has taken a lot of courage
yes,
for you to, because it's like, and you don't have to say what it is, but I suspect that even to be able to refer to it has taken you a lot of courage to get here, right?
absolutely, absolutely. A year and two years ago,
Mm.
I would have never been comfortable to talk about it,
Even
um,
mention it.
even mention it for that matter, because I
Mm.
I was wearing a mask that my life is perfect,
Mm.
everything that is happening in my life is good, I am
Mm.
happy. uh, but your mind doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It brings out, I thought I had forgotten it most of, I remember
Mm.
the conversation that we had earlier
Mm.
in 2023. uh, i
Mm.
I thought I'd forgotten it completely, it was not a part of my system anymore.
Mm.
But your mind is a magical place. It remembers
Mm.
everything. It
Mm.
remembers everything, and it starts showing up when there is a need of it.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think it showed up to me when I was absolutely ready to heal that side of mine.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
understand why it happened,
Mm.
right? So I think there will be a time when you have to face
Yes.
your demons, and I
Yeah.
think my time was then.
Yeah.
I experienced it long ago. I faced the harsh
Mm.
reality of it a year and a half ago. I'm
Mm.
still healing from that. And
Yeah.
I know it'll take a long time. I know it'll
Mm.
take whatever time it needs, and I'm open to
Mm.
that. I'm
Yeah.
I'm open to that. And
Yeah.
I'm willing to give it time, because
Mm.
it's not one day's trouble that
Yes.
happened. It is over the time
Yes.
that has
Yes.
caused
Yes.
whatever damage that it has done.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it space,
Mm.
and
Mm.
that's absolutely okay, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suspect now you're at that point on the journey where you're actually tapping into the strength that this journey has given you,
Yeah.
right?
So like you said, it it is mostly, like I said, the power that I had was more
Mm.
somewhere submerged in the
Yeah.
layers of the
Yeah.
truths that I had made up for myself.
Mm. Mm.
I tried to look powerful. That
Mm.
was always what I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Although वो fake था, I wanted to
Mm.
look powerful.
Right.
I wanted people to perceive me in a
Mm.
certain way, and I was doing it unconsciously in the ways that
Mm.
didn't support me.
Right.
Now I have understood that my power comes
Mm.
from me,
Yeah.
and that's my strength. I don't have to
Mm.
do certain things certain way that don't
Mm.
align with me.
Yeah.
So that's my strength. My power is my strength.
Mm.
When I talk
Mm.
about power a lot, I think that's what I experience in
Mm.
a day to day life.
Yes.
That's what my
Yes.
being is all about, right?
Mm.
So now that I take it as a strength, usually
Mm.
I am considered as a mufat. I just tell anything to
Mm.
anybody, and
Mm.
I used to control myself. यार क्यों बोलूं, बुरा मान जाएंगे. Now I
Right.
don't mind telling it
Right.
because I think that serves
Right.
them. It serves them.
Right.
But what I know is,
Mm.
I know where to use this power, where to
Mm.
use this
Mm.
in a way that it only
Mm.
helps them, not does
Mm.
any bad to them or any
Right.
bad to me. So that's the
Mm.
difference I have understood now. Now when I own
Mm.
my power, I
Mm.
walk a certain way, I talk a
Yes.
certain way,
Yes.
I sit a certain way. I'm sure in our previous conversations I was never like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, you have
Yeah.
noticed that
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
not this. It's because now I have accepted, I have started owning it, and I love that
Yes.
about myself.
Yes.
And I'm okay if people don't like it.
Mm. It's there is a gentle powerness. There's a gentle powerness about you now. And I saw the other side of it, which was like you said, Muffat, because I'm actually reminded this was like this was 2022 October. One, it was like we were at the event, this is the FPR for 2 nights, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
And this was probably night number one, if memory serves me right. So we were wrapping up day one, and I was waiting for the cab, and you noticed that I was handing out gems and chocolates and toffees to people, right?
Yeah.
And we had never spoken before that, but we had like seen each other
Yes, yes.
in passing at different points. And I remember you literally walked up to me and you said, "Can I have?" I said, "Sure." So so there is that side of you, and there's this side which is true power.
Yeah.
You're just being power,
Yes.
and people are now experiencing that shift, not only in you but in themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe so. When you remind me of that incident on
Hmm.
the first night of FBR,
Yeah.
I wanted to be seen. I
Hmm.
wanted to be seen as powerful person
Hmm.
who would just ask anything to anyone, to a stranger,
Yeah.
because you were absolutely kind of a
Yeah.
stranger only.
Absolutely.
All we knew about each other was our names, our work,
Yeah.
and we are a part of the same community. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think I came up to you and asked that chocolate in front of everybody was because
Mm.
I wanted to be seen powerful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would still ask you that chocolate now because I don't
Mm.
say no to chocolates, right?
Mm.
But that would be because I genuinely want a chocolate.
Yes.
I genuinely want a chocolate,
True.
not
True.
because I want to be seen.
See, that's right. Amazing. Amazing. I can't remember when we've had this conversation. It feels like it was before the call, but it feels like we've already had this conversation, right? What's coming across is it's like now you are seeing yourself, and so that's what's showing up,
Yes,
right? It's like you're truly able to see yourself, and that version of you shows up every day.
I totally believe that because the kind of shift I've been seeing in me
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is sometimes magical to me.
Mm.
I never
Mm.
knew that I had this side to Rahat.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that comes into me when I'm even talking to my students. That comes up to me when I'm talking to my community. I'm like,
Yeah.
this was a bulb on for me also, not just for
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
This was a
Mm-hmm.
bulb on for me also,
Yeah.
right? Because that is coming from a place where I know that this is
Mm.
true. This is
Yep.
what is going to change. This is how
Mm-hmm.
it is supposed to be. This is how it has to
Yep.
be. What we have been
Yep.
learning all these years is not
Yeah.
that, because somewhere in my mind, my personality or uh, the way I am, truly I am, is
Mm-hmm.
all about that, which
Yes.
I haven't discovered myself. And
Mm.
from the time I have actually started learning
Mm.
the actual coaching and
Mm.
NLP with that, so
Mm-hmm.
I've discovered that side of me very well, and every
Right.
day is a discovery for me.
Mm.
We do this exercise
Mm-hmm.
every night. This is
Mm-hmm.
what we've learned. I have learned,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I try to practice it most of the
Mm-hmm.
nights. Just tell
Mm-hmm.
my unconscious to show me a dream of
Yes.
something, right?
Yes.
I tell my
Yes.
unconscious to show me a dream, and
Mm.
every day it shows me something, and
Mm.
I forget most of the times. I
Yes.
absolutely forget most of the times. I used to
Mm-hmm.
be very upset. यार मैं भूल गई अपना सपना,
Correct.
right? I
Correct.
forgot my dream. Now
Mm-hmm.
what I try to change about that is, I've seen a dream, even if I forget
Yes.
it, make me do something that entire day so I know
Yes.
that is this is the dream.
Chef's kiss. Beautiful. Oh, I just love this. This is
That's
so powerful. This is so powerful. Go
and
ahead.
the magic about that is the entire day, even if I've forgotten about that exercise that I had done
Yes.
previous
Yes.
night, I am doing the exact same
Yeah.
thing the
Yep.
entire day,
Yep.
either talking to someone on a one-to-one call
Mm-hmm.
or in the
Mm-hmm.
community. I
Mm-hmm.
start emulating that,
Mm.
and that's the power of the
Yep.
unconscious that I have,
Yep.
that most of them don't tap into.
Yep.
Once you build that kind of relationship, now I'm not
Mm.
upset that I'm forgetting my dreams. Earlier I
Yeah.
used to भूल जाती हूँ मैं. I used to go back to my coach
Mm.
and say, I forget my dreams, tell me a way that I will remember my
Right.
dream,
Right.
right? It's like,
Right.
it's okay if you forget. I
Mm.
found out my way to remember my
Mm-hmm.
dream now. I
Mm-hmm.
just ask my subconscious ki,
Yeah.
okay, you forget,
Yeah.
no problem. You
Mm.
forget the dream by the time I wake
Mm.
up,
Mm.
but help me do it,
Nice.
perform like that the entire day, help me
Nice.
live like that, help
Nice.
me be like that the entire day.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And
So
that
powerful.
shift has been happening,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I may be thinking a certain way about myself,
Mm-hmm.
but now even people have started
Mm.
experiencing that about me.
Mm. Yeah.
So that's what makes a difference, and
Mm.
that has come into my being now, and I'm so happy about it.
Yeah.
And I'll
Amazing.
tell you what NLP and coaching does.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm not putting someone on a pit or a pedestal, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but what generally coaches do right now in the market is not the actual coaching.
Mm.
right? The
Mm.
coaching is a very different game.
Mm.
Yes, we are all mentors. We
Mhm.
definitely are mentors at some
Mm.
point. Coaching is a whole different game, and
Mhm.
this can impact not just your students. The
Mm.
first impact will be on your families,
Mm.
on your relationships.
Mm.
And since the day I have started understanding what actually coaching is, my
Mm.
every conversation with my family member is
Mm.
so powerful, is so different. uh, there is no some there's nothing called an argument. There is nothing
Mm.
called different point of views. Definitely we respect different point of views,
Mm.
but I, at least I, because I am operating from that space,
Mm.
I understand where that is coming from.
Mm.
Even if they're upset about something, even if they're angry
Mm.
about something, I
Mm.
understand where this is coming from, and that
Mm.
makes whole lot of difference in my reaction towards it.
Mm.
And I implemented coaching first with my sister, Rahul.
Mm.
That's the first. She is
Wow.
my first free client. I started coaching her,
Amazing.
right? I do mentoring. Definitely, I teach
Mhm.
sales, marketing. I do mentoring. But coaching,
Yeah.
when I started
Mm.
working with my sister, I saw a shift within her, and that
Wow.
too just over messages at times over a call,
Wow.
right? Uh, because we live in two different time zones, it's difficult for
Mm.
us to come on a Zoom and
Right.
have
Right.
conversations. It's mostly
Right.
on the audio calls or sometimes on the
Mm.
messages.
Mm.
The shift in her has been huge. The
Wonderful.
relationships in her life have been different. The
Mm.
way she takes care of her little child is very different, right?
Mm.
uh, it's such a powerful thing. They say charity begins
Mm.
at home. I started
Yeah.
my coaching from home, because
Amazing.
if it is making an impact on my relationships,
Mm.
it is making
Mm.
an impact on me altogether. And if I
Mm.
am operating from that place of peace and
Mm.
prosperity, I think
Mm.
that is what I will help my students also achieve.
Right.
and and that's so important. Like
Mm.
there's one book that I read recently, which says you can only work with your students to a depth where you have gone in your life,
Yes. Beautiful.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
if you're thinking that this is all I can, I want my students to
Mm.
achieve extraordinary results, then you also must have gone inwards to an
Mm.
extraordinary level,
Mm.
which most of the
Amazing.
coaches miss these days,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If we start understanding that side of ourselves, I have no idea how beautiful this world is going to be, and how beautiful the relationships are going to be. The kind of
Mm.
marketing that's happening right now will not be that way. The kind of
Mm.
sales people are doing will not be that way.
Mm.
It will only be powerful conversations, be it one to
Amazing.
one or one to many. That's again
Amazing.
a different format that we
Mm.
have in our coaching industry.
Mm.
One to
Mm.
one karu, one to many karu. No matter which format you want to do,
Mm.
have you gone inwards to an extraordinary level, you will start
Beautiful.
seeing that difference in your students. You will start seeing
Mm.
what your student actually needs from you,
Mm.
right? So
Yeah.
that makes whole lot of a difference. I think
Mm.
coaching is a game, and NLP is a game where
Mm.
it should be taught in schools, is what I believe.
Mm.
It
Mm.
should be taught in schools. This is a life skill. Just like
Mm.
how marketing and sales is a life skill, I believe
Mm.
this is more important skill that uh, we should be learning,
Mm.
and it'll
Right.
make a whole lot of difference in our life.
Mm. Mm. Let me ask you this. How does it feel when you hear yourself like you have been speaking now, especially the last couple of minutes? Um, where you're tapping into something really deep. How
Hmm.
do you feel as you're hearing yourself say this out loud? Because I know you've been processing this for a journey, right? And now as you're hearing yourself, like how are you feeling inside?
I I don't know. This all has been in my mind for long.
Yes, yes, yes.
I I didn't know that also. Today when I'm
Mm.
saying this,
Mm.
it's actually, oh wow, what did I just say? Because that's
Yeah.
happening right now in back of
Mm.
my mind. What did I
Mm.
just say? I should go back to
Yeah.
the recording and note down this. That's what is happening right
That's
now.
it.
But I feel very fulfilled when I'm talking
Mm.
about this, because
Beautiful.
I think that's the message that needed to come out
Mm.
from me in a lot of ways.
Mm.
And I think this is the platform that
Mm.
I'm getting, and this is my first
Mm.
podcast appearance for that,
You mentioned
for that
that.
matter. I teach my students,
Yeah.
podcast karo, Dream 100 is a strategy,
Yeah.
is a marketing strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I
Mm-hmm.
teach my students. And
Good.
I used to feel bad. Why am I not invited on a podcast, man? I teach people how to do podcast, and I'm never invited on a podcast. And
Mm.
like we discussed, I was not ready for it.
Mm. Yeah.
Even if I was ready for it, even if I had been on the podcast, maybe I would have not been uh, speaking from the place that I
Mm.
am speaking right now.
Yeah.
And this feels more fulfilling.
Beautiful.
This feels like I am right in time.
Yeah.
I'm just right in time. And whoever is listening, even
Mm.
if it is just making a little shift, my job is done.
Mm.
And
I'll add
for,
one more thing here.
yeah, yeah.
Your job has just begun.
Thank you. I think
Right?
there's so much to do. I believe that. There's so much to do.
And I know you know this from your own experience that it's no longer about the end point. You've discovered something which is always about the beginning,
Beginning.
right? It's like the beginning of a relationship. It's the beginning of an association. It's the beginning of that holding that space for whether it's one person, whether it's a million, secondary.
Yeah.
It's the that ability that you have now tapped into because you discovered it, and that you'll so of course I heard it, so and that's what I do, so I caught you saying that, meaning I heard you say it and it's like my job is done. No, no, no. And you, in the coming days, I suspect that you will catch yourself when you say these expressions which we've heard. A lot of us have grown up hearing this. ये किया ना तो मेरा job खत्म. Not for people like us. Our job has just begun,
Just begin. Yeah.
right? Because again, like you said, in this work that we do, we take it very seriously. And I don't mean it in a way of being serious, but we take it with a lot of, that to borrow my friend Aparna's expression, shiddat. We do it
Shiddat.
with that dedication, right? We do it with that soulness. And so, this we know that we are meant to create this.
Yeah.
And I see that, I hear you, I feel what you're saying in every single word. That's why I paused and I said, before we go any further into further into the podcast, it's like how does it feel actually hearing yourself say this to you, right? Because you have, like, truly you have transformed in ways. And this is why when I said it at the beginning of the podcast, I wasn't lying. That I've been very blessed to have seen that version of you, and then I'm seeing this version of you, and a reminder that this is just the beginning,
Just the
right?
beginning.
This work is a work of a lifetime. Like, you literally, for the rest of your life, till your last breath, if you choose, you get to live this mission over and over and over and over again, right?
Absolutely.
Why am I saying that?
Absolutely.
Because I have been, in that sense, I've been very fortunate that I got to experience it around the time when you have in your life now started to experience it.
Yeah.
The world was
Absolutely.
obviously very different 20 years ago, but it's the intent which is the same. That's why I'm saying, like, people who show up to this podcast, people who show up at the time when it's their time, as you said, yeah, podcast number 11, 1 and 1. And
One
every
and
little
one.
thing, every little thing has so much of value in it because we see it,
Yeah.
you know?
It was like something just clicked to me when you said we were supposed to do first podcast,
Mm-hmm.
then it landed up at 1 and 1. That means there is double power, there is double
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
transformation, there is
Mm-hmm.
a lot of
Mm-hmm.
double that I
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
brought
Mm-hmm.
to this. And it's all destined to happen like that. It's There is a
Mm-hmm.
reason for it, and I totally believe
Exactly.
that. Now when you
Yeah.
said that it's just the beginning, I vaguely remember this. Someone told me, never say you have
Mm.
just arrived.
Mm.
Never say that
Powerful.
you have just arrived. I don't remember the front and the back of it, but this is what comes to my mind right now.
Mm.
That you've just arrived. मतलब सब कुछ हो गया है.
Correct.
There is nothing more
Mm.
to move ahead, right?
Mm.
So I think yes, there is so much work to do.
Yes.
There's so much
Yes.
we have to give, and it's all just the beginning. And
Yeah.
I
And
believe that
yeah,
this is going to be a magical time from
100%. 100%.
now.
Thank you for reminding all of us, including me. That's where you started. You talked about magic, and there's one more word that popped in as you were speaking: magic and joy, right? That is what gets us, that's what wakes us up every morning. That's
Yes.
what keeps us going. Because, like you said sometime back, when you're, and I know it from personal experience, and I'm sure you are discovering it more and more every day. When you are seeing six people every day, or on the days when you're doing like these, six meetings, or it could be 6 hours or 10 hours of these meetings, which are like pretty much back to back. At one level, it's draining. At another level, it's recharging,
Recharging. Yeah.
right? And that sounds magical, and it is tough. It is like the grind, but it's also joyful.
Absolutely joyful. Absolutely joyful. I will not lie, Rahul. It is draining. It is
Mm,
definitely draining.
yeah.
It is physically draining. It is emotionally
Mm-hmm.
draining. At times you
Mm-hmm.
don't have time for your families. It's
Yeah.
it's it's all at times you think यार time ही नहीं है खुद के लिए. But then when you're talking to a person, when you're talking to that human being who's on the other side and seeing them transform, seeing that
Mm,
they're
mm,
taking away something from that call and going to
mm,
implement in life that will change completely. If not now,
mm.
that little changes will
Yes.
change
Yes.
their entire life someday. That
Mm,
hope, that
mm,
little hope,
mm,
will give you so much joy. Just that hope,
mm,
right?
mm,
That this is going to possibly change
mm,
a person's life. Like when you're
mm.
coaching someone, you don't know if this is actually going to work for
Right.
them or not until and
Mm,
unless they're they're open to receive it, open to accept it, all of that, right?
mm.
But you at least know that there is something going to happen over the time with them,
Yes.
right? And that hope keeps us going
Mm,
and makes us do better work every day. And
yeah.
I think it's okay to afford that physical and emotional
Mm-hmm.
drain
Mm-hmm.
when you can see not just our world is definitely changing,
Mm,
their entire world is also going to change. And if you're going to be the reason for their world to change,
mm-hmm.
what better than that,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So something you said here again, very, very powerful. I used to think it was just hope until I discovered it's actually belief,
Yeah.
right? It's like I believe it. In the depths of my heart, I feel it. So hope is like a passing breeze. The belief that you have, and I know that's what I'm saying. Like I'll say it one thing. There's this expression, I'm a scary judge of character. It's of course a line from the movie. I think it was The Recruit, or one of those movies with Al Pacino, and that line stuck with me. But here's the point, right? In the coming days, you're going to hear yourself with the words that you're saying, and you're going to find yourself pausing and really like absorbing what you just said. And you're
Yes.
like, huh, no, no, no. Huh. Wow, man, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're going to have many of these experiences because this is the journey,
This is the journey. Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
We start somewhere with hope because we're like, I had it. I hope they get it. But then as we keep going deeper and deeper, as you said, you're that coach who's really going deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And with time, you have this sense. It's like, there's this word like terav, right?
Yes.
It's a knowing. You're
Right.
like, I know.
I know. Yeah, like how sometimes you certainly know that this is going to change. Sometimes you just want to hope that it'll change, but I know over the time that
Yes.
is going to change for me as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And I'm just wanting it to happen soon. Sooner.
So let me ask you one very important question at this point, right? To get here, it wasn't an accident. It didn't happen in an instant, right? So the question is, for you to reach this destination or this milestone where you are today, right? What's the role of community that has got you here?
All right. Uh, as I started with a cohort program, right?
Mm,
When I started learning digital marketing,
mm,
everyone there, I'll tell you my experience with communities
mm,
that I have.
mm,
When I was in this cohort program, everyone was transactional,
mm.
right? I would not certainly call it a community because it gives a different sense to that,
Sure.
right?
Mm,
Uh, for me, community is very different. For me,
mm,
community is where you bloom into something
mm,
very different. And when I came
mm,
for that first event at the FBR, that was my first ever community
mm,
event as such. And I saw people celebrating each other, celebrating
mm,
the good, the bad, the ugly at times,
mm,
and still hugging each other with so much love,
mm,
right? That changed something in me. I was like,
mm,
I am not a people person. I
mm,
don't like to be in crowded places.
mm,
I shrink when I am in places where there are a lot of
mm,
people.
mm,
I feel very underconfident. So
mm,
I used to avoid
mm.
being at a community events or even the online communities
Wow.
for that matter,
Mm,
right? But then I saw this community. Then I saw my
mm,
mentor Sagar's community. That
mm.
they were holding that space for
Yeah.
everyone there. And I think
Mm,
what matters is how are you building that community?
mm,
On what
mm,
principles, on what code of
mm,
honor are you building that
mm,
community? That's what
mm.
matters most than just building one,
Right.
right?
Mm,
That community can do a hell lot of good for you.
mm,
At times, if you have not built it on certain principles that have to be in place, that code of honor that has to be in place, it
mm,
can even destroy you completely.
mm,
There are
mm,
certain communities we know, maybe not know, that definitely don't do good for people,
mm,
right? But I think the communities that I have come across, especially in the last 2 years,
mm,
have, even if that person is a stranger to me, at
mm.
certain point you and me were strangers when we met in a
Right.
community event,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
always wished good for me. All you
Mm,
wanted was
mm,
something good for me. All I
yeah.
wanted was something good for you. I
Mm,
think such places are very rare to find, and if we are
yeah.
building one such community,
Mm,
uh, we as a group are
mm,
radiating something very, very, very
mm.
powerful,
Right.
right? It's
Mm,
one person does it, it's still okay. When
mm,
thousands of people radiate the same kind of love,
mm,
energy,
mm,
you can
mm.
just imagine what
Wow.
difference
Yeah.
it can make, right?
Mm,
And for me, that was a space where I bloomed completely, blossomed
mm,
into something that I never imagined, because
mm,
everyone was so welcoming, Everyone
Mm.
embraced me with the flaws that I had,
Right.
and also appreciated the good things about me,
Mm.
gave me that space to grow,
Mm.
right? That only happens when you all are having same kind of values,
Mm.
similar kind of values, and
Mm.
that's only possible that time. And when I don't build community as such right now, because I
Mm.
feel I have, it comes with a huge responsibility.
Mm.
Building a
Sure.
community comes with a huge
Yeah.
responsibility. I don't want to build a community just because it will keep on building my business.
Mm.
That's not my
Easy.
perspective of building a community. That's why I'm still not building a community. But there is a person who
Mm.
has built a community already, which is Sagar,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
He is my mentor. So my
Mm.
approach to serve a community is through
Yeah.
his community, right?
Yeah.
I'm not shying away from the responsibility. I'm not running away from the
Sure.
responsibility. But
Mm.
I want to be in a place where I can hold all of them
Mm.
strongly, and
Mm.
that's what community means. And I
Right.
don't think I'm right there yet. And the day
Mm.
I build a community, I'm sure it'll be
Mm.
one of the most loved asset for me. I,
Mm.
right,
Amazing.
it will be one of the most precious asset for me, right? And that's how I want to build a community. But
Mm.
I am learning on how to build communities.
Right.
I've been
Mm.
seeing how people build communities. I've seen my mentor
Mm.
Siddharth, I've seen
Mm.
Sagar, I've seen Success Gyan. In a way, it's a
Mm.
community. The kind of people
Sure.
we are, right?
Mm.
We all have somewhere met because of these
Mm-hmm.
people itself.
Yeah.
And it's
100%.
just because their intention, their values are so
Mm.
strong. Business comes secondary. It's their
Mm.
community that is always first for them. And I
Mm.
want to be building a community from that place.
Mm.
I not I don't want to label people, but then
Mm.
today, right now, the industry is running in such a
Mm.
way that they are building communities just because they can upsell their L1 to L2, L2 to L3,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
That has become the perspective of the community now.
Mm.
But I think community is much more than that.
Mm.
It's not for your upsells. They
Mm.
have come for you, even if they have paid you just
Mm.
one single rupee, they have come with a whole lot of trust, so
Mm.
much faith in you, and they are inspired by you for a reason.
Mm.
And I think we
Mm.
have to live up to that. It's
True.
important for us to live up to that. And
Mm.
that's what I believe communities are all about. And to
Mm.
give space to every individual, I want
Mm.
them to be feeling that they are at home
Mm.
when they come, when they are in
Mm.
my community. And I have felt
Beautiful.
that certain way in the
Mm.
communities that I have been and I have grown.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
place you grow. Home is a place
Mm.
where you have grown. You have
Mm.
become, you have been a child to an
Yeah.
adult. You keep growing in different ways. And
Mm.
and home is a place where your parents have accepted you in any way
Mm.
that you have come
Mm.
back, right? And communities are certainly like that.
Mm.
The communities I have been part of,
True.
I have come all broken at times. I have come
Mm.
very happy at times. I have, in any
Mm.
way that I have come, they have accepted me, and they have given me that love to grow, go back to what I was doing, and keep
Mm.
doing much more. So
Mm.
I get my energy from people around me,
Mm.
right?
Amazing.
Even if I am working every day
Mm.
on myself, I believe that these people have been an inspiration.
Mm.
Not just the people who have built it, but
Mm.
also the people who have been a part of it and have done some
Right.
good work,
Mm.
right? uh, I think that's what community will, when I start building community, that's what I
Mm.
want to be doing,
Yeah.
to give them a feeling of being at home.
Mm.
And that's,
Wow.
yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. That's so heartfelt. It's I mean the let me put it this way. The conventional thing would be to say that's so being honest, right? But you're tapping into something completely else. And literally, like in this moment, you're already, you know, it's like you're telling the universe, hey, I'm saying this out loud. This is who I am. This is
Yes.
what I am, what I have been sent here for.
Yes,
And the
absolutely.
people who truly, have been looking for this, now you have heard me,
Yes.
you know,
And
very.
I so believe that I didn't know that even if I'll be able to talk for an hour, because I don't know till now if anybody has realized I'm an introvert. I'm a complete introvert. When there are people, I wait for people to cancel plans. कैंसिल कर दो, मुझे मेरे बेड पे सोना है चादर ओढ़ के. That's what I want to do, right? But now that we have spoken for almost over an hour, I don't know where all this came from. Certainly there are things that were already in my mind. This
Sure.
I wanted to talk about these, but a lot of things that I have spoken about in this conversation are something very new to me as well, right? I haven't heard myself talking like this.
Yes.
And like I have told multiple times in this podcast now, that I think I'm just in time, right in time, right? It's all. I'm so happy that this is my first podcast.
Correct.
This is
Great.
absolute my first podcast, and I'm so happy
Amazing.
that
Amazing.
this this has come out so well, and it's full of heart. this
Yeah.
this this is me. For people who don't know me,
Yeah.
for people who have seen the strong side of me, for people who think that a lot of Sagar's community members call me a hunter,
Right.
right? Like uh,
Wow.
there has to be a Sagar is the softer one. I am like the hammer, right? For people who have believed that I am such a person, which I think is good. I don't say
Sure.
that's
Sure.
bad, but this is a different side that they have seen. And this all just came in as a download, like Siddharth
Beautiful.
says. It's just a download,
Yeah.
and I'm just trying to emulate whatever that is coming to
Correct.
me, right? And this is so that happens when I believe I will say that you have been asking such fabulous things to me. You have tried. That's where the actual coaching and NLP comes into place. I should say that. And it's only a genuine person who can bring out so many things from you, right? Something that they don't know about themselves at times, and
Right.
that shows me how powerful of a coach you are. Although this was not a coaching session, this was just a
Of course.
conversation,
Of course.
but hardly people understand that coaching is all about powerful conversations.
Exactly right.
And this conversation brought in so much good and so much that I have always wanted to talk about, is because you were so open to it. You created that kind of space for me to talk
Yeah.
about that, and
Wow.
thank you so much for doing that.
And thank you. I, there's a reason why I asked this question about community, because um, this was something that I missed for many, many years. Right? I consider you to be extremely fortunate and to be really blessed that at the start of your journey,
Absolutely.
you've discovered something. It took me, I would say, at least about the last 12 to 15 years to come to this moment where you already are at, right? So there's a lot of power in what we do and what we can do. And when we do it like this, right, with heart, with our
With
soul,
our souls.
with that intent, right, that pure intent of, I consider myself to be very lucky that now I know what I'm meant to do. Not in
Yeah.
specific terms, but it's like I know there is this invisible link between endpoint and now,
Yes.
right? But that's just one part of it. When we get to do it like this, like just literally, like I know that the kind of ripples that we are sending out, like you talked about the quantum at the beginning, right?
Hmm.
The kind of that whoosh that we're sending out into the universe, the kind of sonic booms that are happening out in the universe. Two things I've come to recognize. One, we don't even need to know,
Yeah.
you know. So I was talking to Aparna the other day, and she said something, and it really, like, it really stuck with me. When we get to that point where we are no longer trying to figure out, oh, how has this made a difference in so and so's life? That is really when we have shifted to another level altogether.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I know where up. I don't know how Aparna can come up to this place, because that's exactly what I have been experiencing
Yeah.
in this space. Like,
Mm,
whoever has coached me or whoever has
mm,
some really good conversations with me, they don't get
mm,
into that logic of how
mm.
did this happen.
Yeah.
Did it happen? That's what matters,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So I think
yeah.
that's one of the most powerful things that Aparna has shared.
Which brings me to one more place. But before we get there, I want to ask you to share with us, what you do today, right? I remember when I was putting this piece together, the poster and doing, the background reading, sales and working with women, that was what was echoing at that
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
And incidentally, right now there's an echo also that's happening on the call. That's technology. So we are going with the version that we are right now, right?
Yes.
It's not perfect, but it is, right? So to that question, what would you tell people at this point of, where we're recording it today? So, like, so Rahat, like, so what do you do, or how do you help people today, in
Mm,
sort of like, quote unquote, the professional context? But I won't even use that word. It's like, how do you help people today?
I help people to actually grow their sales. That's
Mm.
professional title
Mm-hmm.
that I have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I have been helping a lot of coaches, especially
Mm-hmm.
the women coaches.
Mm. Mm.
Um, life coaching is what life coaches is who I help, life coaches and
Mm.
healers.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
Generally, what happens is certifications and everything is good. They have done their
Mm.
certification, but
Sure.
they're lost in the world of marketing and sales. And trying to figure out the marketing and sales game, they at times lose themselves.
Mm.
That's where I
Mm.
want to help people to figure out their own self and
Mm.
grow their sales in order to
Mm.
live a fulfilled life
Mm.
where they are happy with themselves and the work that they
Mm.
do. And I want
Mm.
women to be powerful in whatever
Mm.
work they do, because it's so important for us women to feel that power. Sometimes we usually get into that mode of just taking care of the families. Sometimes
Mm.
our businesses take a back seat, and what I believe is it's absolutely possible to balance both. I don't
Mm.
generally prefer saying the word balance, but what that's what people
Mm.
understand. That's why I would
Right.
prefer to use. It's possible to do both things and be
Mm.
equally good at it. And if I can help you do that,
Mm.
then I would be a, my most prized possession by that my
Mm.
mother has ever produced. So that's
Wow.
that's what I want, because I've seen my mother as a homemaker all her life,
Mm.
and
Mm.
she's been absolutely great at that.
Mm.
But at times I somehow feel that she's dependent on us, which I don't want every
Mm.
woman to be.
Mm. Mm.
We don't make her feel dependent,
Mm.
but I want every woman to be happy, to be
Mm.
fulfilled,
Mm.
and build their business for their financial freedom and for
Wow.
their fulfillment.
Mm.
Not because they are any little, just by
Mm.
being a homemaker or
Mm.
just by doing a 9 to 5 job, right? So that's what
Mm.
I want to do. And
Right.
over the time, I also want to work with some powerful women, uh,
Mm.
to understand what is stopping them from being that powerful.
Wow.
They are powerful, it's just that they don't realize it. And
Mm.
what is stopping them from realizing that? There are so
Mm.
good skilled life coaches that I have come across, right?
Mm.
Life coaching is a skill, like
Yeah.
everything is a skill. What we are
Yeah.
doing right now is also a
Yeah.
skill. All
Yes, it is.
it only needs you practice to get that
Yeah.
mastery. The
Mm.
only two things that I consider are needed are the intention and practice.
Mm.
Is your
True.
intention in right place? Are
Mm.
you practicing your skill every day?
Mm.
So practicing people do, but
Mm.
sometimes the intention is something that they miss.
Mm.
They borrow people's intention. They do have good intentions, they
Sure.
but the problem is they don't tap into that side of them.
Mm. Mm.
They just write a mission statement for the sake of
Mm.
writing it, right?
Mm.
I want
Mm.
people to feel what their mission statements are. That's
Mm.
how I want to work with life coaches.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
that's the kind of work I do.
Let me pause you here again. Oof, you've like there's these. It's like fairy dust, right? You've been sprinkling fairy dust over and over and over again, and this was another moment right now. Share with us what was that, what happened that made you kind of suddenly have this, oh, these are the women I want to work with, because you use the word powerful women, right? And I know these are not just random words you've thrown around, right?
I
Tell me a little bit.
I've been telling you, the statement that I've been telling you is about myself,
Yes.
right? That's
Yes.
me. That's me.
Yeah.
That's what I have
Yes.
been through. I always was powerful. I didn't
Mm.
know until I could go in depth and see it for
Mm.
myself. And
Mm.
I always went around borrowing the mission statements that
Mm.
I had
Mm.
seen templates.
Mm. Sure.
Uh, Not that templates are wrong. It's good for
Mm.
you to get started.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what will sustain is what comes from inside.
Mm.
And once when I was working with one of my coach,
Mm.
and we were trying to figure out the point A and point B of my story,
Mm.
because we were
Mm.
trying to bring out the elements of what actually is the story that is
Mm.
driving me to the work I'm doing.
Mm.
We knew the point A,
Right.
right? We were not able to find the point B.
Mm.
And that time when I was working with that coach, I realized that I have I've never seen myself achieving anything.
Mm.
I had lost my power completely to even see what I want,
Right.
to clearly know what I want.
Mm.
And that was like a moment for me, that was kind of a slap on my face, that
Mm.
you say a lot of things that this is my mission, that is my mission,
Mm.
but you don't really know what you want.
Mm.
And it's okay to not know what you want,
Mm.
but do you at least have an idea of where is that, what feeling is that,
Mm.
even if you don't get what you want, but
Mm.
what do you want to feel when you have certainly
Oh,
something,
wow.
right? What is that you want to
Wow.
feel? I didn't even know that, because
Amazing.
and my coach said, Rahat, there's so much that needs to be processed. You
Right.
need to process a lot of things that have happened
Mm.
for you to understand what is the feeling you want to experience,
Mm.
because it is so much suppressed
Mm.
down there. You're not ready to uncover it.
Mm.
And the moment I started working on that aspect,
Mm.
everything that came up was power, power, power. Every bit of breakthrough that I got, I always felt it was power. It was power.
Mm.
It was power.
Mm.
What do I want people to feel? That is power.
Mm.
So that's where the powerful
Mm.
thing comes from, right? Now when I'm saying it, it's actually making more sense to me now,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's my goal. That's what I want
Right.
for women. In fact, I would love to work with anybody irrespective of the gender,
Mm.
but
Mm.
every time I talk to them is my intention for them is to discover their own power,
Mm.
is for them to discover their own power, which
Mm.
generally people don't do. They're wearing
Mm.
so many layers.
Right.
They don't really see that power in them, and
Mm.
usually people associate power to a negative
Right.
image. And when you see the different side of power, you can see what magic it
Mm.
can do, and I've seen that for
Wow.
myself.
Amazing. Beautiful. Wow. Thank you, for just being willing to be present to yourself and to be present to the moment. I mean, it's literally like a rarity today, right? There's so many distractions. There's so much of sort of like the shortcuts. But what you're talking about, what you've discovered, is anything but shortcuts, right? Um, you've allowed yourself to be uncomfortable, right? And that's part of your legacy. Like you have this constant supply. Like it's like like you're plugged into the universe where you keep getting more of this because you're allowing yourself to be present. And I mean, it's like what you shared it's so powerful.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. When you talk about legacy,
mm,
I'm reminded of a certain thing. I was at the QCR
mm,
crewing at the
mm,
QCR, and we
mm,
had Blair's message that
mm,
came in for the quantum members,
mm,
right?
mm,
And he said a very very powerful thing. You die
mm,
two times. One
mm,
is when your body actually dies.
mm,
The second time is when you have nobody to talk about you in this world,
mm,
right? So he says that you're leaving your legacy in form of your
mm,
students, in form of the people's
mm,
lives that you have touched.
mm,
So I want to be doing that, and I want
mm,
to live for like
mm,
years and years and
mm,
years, because I want to be doing that kind of work.
mm,
I want my students to be doing that kind of work,
mm,
and that's the whole intention. That's the kind of legacy I want to leave behind,
mm,
and I'm
mm,
sure I'm directly indirectly doing that, and
mm.
a lot of us are doing that.
Yeah,
A lot of us are doing that, and
100%.
that's the beauty of this industry, that
Mm,
you're making a whole lot of impact on families,
mm,
on generations,
mm.
on
Yeah.
generations. And
Mm,
what better than this to do?
yeah.
What's
Yeah.
better than this?
The word that came to me as you were speaking, and this is for you, it's not even legacy. You've tapped into something that's called lineage, right? Like that's your uh, intent or your intention that you're putting out into the universe. That I really want to create a lineage so that it continues to fuel itself.
Yeah, I think.
Legacy typically has more sort of like that way the English language is funny, right? So when you say legacy, it kind of has references to sort of like self
uh,
aggrandization,
yeah, yeah,
apne swarth ke liye, that sort of a thing. Lineage is sort of like for the world.
for the world.
Legacy is more like, I'm leaving this behind, so yay, shabash to me, right? Lineage is something that you seem to have really, really powerfully tapped into. And I won't be surprised, in like years to come when I see somebody and I'm like, I know you through you, right? I won't be surprised that that
That's that just gave me goosebumps.
happens. So, this brings me to the last section of today's podcast. And I know we will have many more conversations after this. But something that I was extremely, extremely blessed way back, like 2007, when I finally was able to begin my journey into, I should say, NLP or neuro linguistic programming. So I make it a point to ask every guest this question. Obviously, the question, the way it is framed, is different every time because you are you and you bring
Yeah,
you here. So I'd love for you to share um, what has your journey been in this universe of NLP or neuro linguistic program? Like, how did it begin?
I'll
And
tell you a funny story about it.
Mhm.
It's like I told you. I The first perception that I had about NLP was it's
Mm,
magic. I'll tell you
mm,
what kind of magic. I
mm,
I had heard people that they said if you learn NLP, you'll get to know if the opposite person is lying to you.
mm, mm,
Right?
mm,
You get to
mm,
know if someone is lying to you. You get to know what they
mm,
are thinking. So
mm,
that was the kind of magic
mm,
that I thought NLP was.
mm,
Right?
mm,
And it always fascinated me. यार ये तो सीखना ही है,
mm,
आगे वाला मेरे बारे में क्या
mm,
सोचता है ये जान लूंगी तो खत्म
mm,
बात. मैं आई एम
mm.
वेरी मच रिलीव दैट आई डोंट हैव टू
Yeah,
कन्विंस और प्लीज और डू एनीथिंग ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट.
right,
Right?
right.
So that's what I thought. Now that I see NLP, I see that it is more about me,
Mm,
first about me,
yeah.
then about how the person is responding to that.
Mm,
So it's about, am I giving a right certain cues to that person to respond in a certain
wow,
way?
wow,
Am I
wow.
being in a certain way to for that person to respond? Now that
Mm,
is magic.
wow, wow. I love that. Am I giving certain cues? Wow, I've never heard that framing. It's so powerful. I mean, I've learned it differently. So there's this expression that most of us use when we say, "I will try."
Hmm.
Right? I will try to be on time, or try to do this, or let's try and meet up. I will try and change. I'll try and get up in the morning. All the in the various areas in our life, we use this word try. I never thought of it in this context because it's like whether it's with yourself or with somebody else, like you said, it's all about the cues that you're giving so that you get what you want,
Yes.
right?
That's how you know
Wow,
if people are lying to
very
you or
powerful,
not. You still can know
very
if people
powerful.
are lying to you or not only when you give the right cues. If you're not giving them the right cues, you'll still be
Yeah,
fooled.
yeah,
Right? I think
very powerful,
it's one of the
very powerful.
most essential skill for people to learn,
Mm, mm,
irrespective of their profession, their
mm,
hobby, their love or they don't love. This is an
mm,
essential life skill people
mm,
have to learn. And
mm,
if you think it's magic, it's actually magic.
mm,
Even if you're coming from a belief like I had that you will get to know
mm,
what people think, it's
mm.
true. It's
Yep,
certainly true.
yep.
And now you know what kind of cue you need to give to them
Mm,
to trigger certain kind of responses,
mm,
to help them get rid of so many things that
mm,
are not
mm.
serving them
Yeah.
just by talking to them in a
Mm,
certain way,
mm.
just by
Wow.
programming them in a certain way. And it's so
Mm,
powerful. I don't know why our schools don't teach it.
mm.
This
Wow.
could change students life forever.
Mm, mm,
Right? All that
mm,
mental health issues that people
mm,
struggle with once
mm.
they reach teenage or
Yeah.
the
Mm,
adulthood, I think most of that will not exist I certainly know, no, there will be mental health issues where you need
Mm,
therapists, where
mm,
you need
mm.
psychiatrists to
Of
help you
course.
with.
Of course.
But a lot of that will,
Mm.
self healing will be so
Mm.
easy,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep. Thank you for saying it the way you did, because as I was listening to you, I was also reminded, like the other little voice, the good one, was saying, "Wait, wait, wait! Don't you remember?" This is while you were talking to me. That internal voice was having a parallel conversation, right? Hey, Rahul, don't you remember? You had interviewed Archana sometime back, and Archana focuses primarily on kids,
Children, yeah.
children, right, and communication, and she is on her journey to go deeper in and deeper into learning NLP. So I'm just saying, this is why this is the universe that we, as I said, community, we together are building,
Yeah,
right? I mean, when this came to me, which is iHypnosis coaching journeys, it's not just another podcast which is okay, we'll interview coaches, and they'll talk about, this is my story, and this is what I do, this is what I do for fun, whatever. I mean, that's like conventionally, most podcasts across the world do that. But to really be able to make that powerful shift in people, it's this assimilation of ideas which I can feel already happening.
yeah.
Like today I'm telling you, this is like the first time I'm consciously making that connection. That for your prayer into the universe, that hey, I really wish schools would do this. I'm I can tell you this live. I'm glad to tell you that there are people out there who are already taking that magic and teaching it to kids, so they grow up
Absolutely.
believing and being able to create that magic on, you know with the right cues, so
There,
they know
there's
what the cues. Go
there's a
ahead.
parallel school that coaches are running right now.
Yes,
There's a
yes, yes,
and it's a beautiful
yes,
school. I
yes,
would believe that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Right. So thank you for saying that, because there are two ends of the spectrum. There's one which is for like most of us. We are when I say most of us, like say you and I, we are working primarily with adults, right? Adults who are on a certain journey. There's the other end of the spectrum, which is kids are learning in that learning process, right? And there are people that are taking skills like what we have learned and what we hone. Like you said, there are two things, right? One is intent, and the other is practice.
Practice.
And there's such a power, that itself is such a powerful frame, right? It's like the two keys to success is this: intent and practice,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So there are people like us who are going to the other end of the spectrum, and they are saying, no, it's my moral responsibility to teach the kids.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that is what is, it's almost like it's creating like this rainbow color. We are focusing on what we are drawn to, they are focusing on what they are drawn to, but we also know, and this is where it gets magical, that it just connects.
Yes. So true.
Right.
So true. So true. Absolutely so true.
There's that expression of, and I'm sure you'd have seen it, especially when you were abroad. There's this concept of the double rainbow, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be good luck,
Good luck.
right? So I mean, I'm just taking what you shared and I'm just putting it out into the universe, that I'm so glad that today we know that there are people
There are people
that
like
are
that.
actively working on teaching this. Like I was again, another reminder, one of my guests, so this is Niyati, a couple of episodes ago. She works, one is of course with adults in the area of intimacy, right,
Intimacy. Yeah.
on all spheres, but she also works with kids, and she also teaches teachers to teach kids, whether it's
Nice.
sexuality, whether it's energy, it's being, right. And she is also from the same school of magic,
Ah,
right. So so the good news is that we've already taken up that challenge,
so
that
true.
adventure,
So
that
true.
that saga that we're building together. So
And I
thank you
think
for saying that.
it's just a matter of time when
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
parallel schools will be more and more um
Yeah.
promoted than the traditional
Yeah.
ones,
Yeah.
and it's just a matter of time. And even
Yeah.
now, even if you have done, if people are out of school, if the kids are out of
Yeah.
school,
Yeah.
it's never late to learn
Yeah.
this. It's
Yeah.
never late to ask for help and
Mm-hmm.
get to know how the skill can help you,
Yeah.
right? It's so
Yeah.
important. It's not just for kids to start learning now, even if it,
Mm.
even for the adults, like for women that I work with,
Yeah.
it's so
Yes.
important. It's so important that
Yes.
they ask for this kind of help and receive, and it's,
Mm.
the world is abundant. You just
Yeah.
have to ask. You just have
So
to
do
ask.
you know? I just had this aha as you were speaking. I finally figured out why today is episode number 11. You'll probably remember this. 11 is like a 1 plus 1,
One
which is
plus
that
one.
classic example of synergy. So
Yes.
just now what you said reminded me of another guest who is again a, like, there's this universe of worlds fans when it comes to NLP, the mind, language, and this, like, in an instant the shift happening, right? So
Yeah.
Veena is again
Veena.
somebody I've known, Veena BK, right?
Veena
Somebody I've
BK.
known for years, and she's been with me literally when I started this journey of learning marketing psychology, sales psychology, funnels, and all of that stuff, right? As they say, all of that good stuff. So she is somebody who focuses primarily on working with
Mothers.
women, mothers, and a lot of that focus is on their healing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? In fact, one piece here, as we slowly start to land the plane, a lot of what I'm doing this year, which is, so I've created this thing called the IHNLP
Mm-hmm.
practitioner. So I
Mm-hmm.
will be launching that at some point in the year.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing a couple of cohorts and then officially launching it towards the latter half of the year. This came into being, like it just came in that quantum instant at the beginning of this year.
Oh.
I have had several times in the past over years where I thought, "Yeah, this is so good, this is so amazing, people need to know it."
Hmm.
But the alignment hadn't happened yet. And in the
Now.
last 6 months, she kept saying, yes, I want the certification for this, this, and this, but when are you starting? Like, just tell me, I will get people and let's do this. Because she had already experienced a lot by then, in terms of the power of awareness, the power of
Hmm.
language, the power of
Language.
being able to shift, power of beliefs, power of identity, right? These are things which are not just words. There's a lot that goes
There's
into it, and you can use it to create that change, right? I see you nodding, and it's like, yes, 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 preach, preach, preach. This is, I know this, I live this, right? And she kept saying it, and I kept going, yeah, yeah, I will, because somewhere I was operating from a old belief,
hmm.
right? The old identity. And something just shifted literally in that first week of this year. And I was like, oh, I get it now, right? Now is that time. So, when I ask in the entire podcast, there are these two questions where I have like it's my private conspiracy, right? And when I hear you say this, it just makes me feel so lucky. Something that I stumbled into way back in 2007, so that's like 17 years ago. And to hear that alive and so fresh and vivid that you are living every day, to
Yeah.
me, I'm like, thank you, God. Right? It's like, again, this is one of those episodes like double chef's kiss. It's, it's truly, you know, I really feel lucky. It's like I won the lottery, you know? So, yeah, I really want to thank you
I
for,
think not just you, a lot of people through this podcast have won the series of podcasts that you're doing
mm,
have won huge lotteries if they just put in the right effort to, or just be open to whatever they're hearing from
yeah,
all the guests and
yeah,
from you especially, right?
yeah.
It just needs to be, they if they give space for themselves,
Mm.
let that come in, let that sink
Yeah.
in. I think it will do a whole lot of good
Mm.
for them.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Two
creating
things
this.
here, and thank you so much for saying this, because what I'm hearing are two things. You're bringing the hope, and I'm coming with the faith, right?
Yes.
And that combination is truly instrumental.
Yeah.
We are human beings. So hope is something that we've all, it's kind of like wired into our DNA. Like they say fear is wired into our DNA. Like
Yes.
it's like locked into our primitive brain. I
Yes.
also believe, and I've just realized it today on the podcast. Remember you said that somewhere halfway through, when you have these conversations with people, you suddenly hear yourself and you go,
Ah.
oh,
Oh.
अरे हाँ यार, क्या बात है, right? So I've
Yes.
realized hope's not a bad thing. It's just something which is, I believe hope is something that is evolutionary, meaning it's been in us, and that's why one of the reasons why we have evolved.
Evolved.
The other is this, which is faith, right?
Absolutely.
Meaning it's like, when you say faith, as in, it's, like there's that expression blind faith. You're not even looking for logic, you just know it.
Know it.
It's that deep rooted, deep sense of belief कि,
Right.
कि,
है.
कि
हो
we are
जाएगा.
Indians ना, है
है.
है हो जाएगा is therefore है therefore हो जाएगा. So I am, I'm really really taking this moment to express that gratitude that it happened like this, right? Like when I reached out, we spoke, and then closer to the day, you were like, "Yeah, I won't be able to make it," and I was like, it's cool, right? And here we are closing that loop, only to open a new loop.
To
So
absolutely to open a new loop. And I can't just tell you how fortunate and how humbled and honored I am to be on this podcast, because I discovered a lot of things about myself when I was talking to you. And
mm,
I only know, like you just said, it's an evolution.
mm,
I have evolved a
mm,
lot, and there is so much more that is going to come.
mm.
And maybe if we do another round to
Oh
see the
yeah,
difference,
100%.
I'm sure that that's going to be a
Mm.
huge
Yep,
transformation,
yep,
huge change
yep,
in both of us,
yeah,
because we
absolutely,
are evolving every minute as we live right now.
100%,
And
100%.
that evolution will only, I believe now, that it is only
Mm,
be bringing out the
mm,
greater things
mm,
about
mm,
us, about our communities, and about the work we do.
mm. This is a promise that I make into the universe. Okay, like you said, it came from you naturally. That like a round two. I've said it sometimes. It's come sometimes from other guests. But the thing is, this is like putting that intention out without
Yes,
trying to control it, right? So
absolutely.
it's like at the right moment, we'll be sitting again and having a conversation, right?
And that will make
So
a whole lot of
yeah,
difference. And
yeah.
when we compare this to, I don't know what we'll discover then, but I know it'll again be magical.
And that's what makes it magical, right? We are discovering, we're going, wow, that happened. We spoke, now we're on the live call, and wow, what you said today, what you just said, what, right? So yeah, there's definitely a lot more to come. So
Yes.
two things, of course, as we start to wrap. One is, for those of you who are watching this, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching this later as a podcast, I will be leaving links of how you can get in touch with Rahat. And if even if there's one thing that's resonated with you, with just the way she is, just things that she said, and you truly feel that you hear that calling inside, or you sense that I want to reach out, I will be sharing links. So please reach out. And I know that magic is happening in your life. And the other thing, of course, is that I took this upon myself because it came to me at the beginning of this year to record these podcasts. And I really believe that this is my way of being able to create that ripple of change out in the universe, because I've been extremely blessed that I've, even 2 decades later, I'm still doing this, still doing the coaching, still doing the healing. And I know for me, it's a vocation. As the word goes, it's like a calling, right? That means it's come from inside of me.
Inside.
And so this is my way of saying thank you that I got to do it till now, and that for the years and years, into the future, this is my way of holding that space, of shining that light. And that it's not only about me, it's not only about what I say, how I say, but it's like-minded people who you'll realize that, oh yeah, if two people are saying that, that means I'm not mad. And that's an open invitation to come and join us, right?
Absolutely.
So as we wrap, two things. You will find a link. At this point, there's probably a Telegram group that you can join. As I said, if you are curious, if you're interested in knowing about NLP, hypnosis, and how that can make a difference in your life or the lives of the people that you want to serve and work with, please reach out. And I really do look forward to hearing from you, and do share comments of how this conversation was instrumental in your journey, right? One last story before we go, and I know I can take that liberty with you, Rahat.
Yes.
I'd love for you to just reflect back on that Zoom call that the three of us had. So there was Sagar, you mentioned Sagar before. There was
Yes.
Sagar, there was you, and there was me. We were on a call. Now, being here like this, reflecting on that, what comes to mind? And if you could just share, sort of, in a story format, like what was that experience like?
I remember that call was just to understand what NLP is actually
Mm,
and
mm,
where to even get started with it. I think
mm,
it was roughly 6 months ago, six
mm-hmm,
months ago, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm,
and the day we had conversation, Rahul gave us so many things to explore and understand what NLP actually was, that our fascination just exponentially grew like
mm,
anything. And
right.
we kept on watching those videos, those resources
Mm,
that you shared with us, and even the conversation that we had on that call, that what difference
mm,
it would make in our lives, and
mm,
how do we even look at the journey ahead
yeah, yeah,
to learn NLP.
mm,
That actually inspired us more
yeah,
to take up this work. And now
mm,
that we are here,
mm,
we are not just learning, we are seeing a difference
yes,
in every individual that we are talking
right,
to, and especially our
right.
community.
Mm,
The way it is getting results, the way
mm,
they are taking the knowledge that we are giving them,
mm,
or the experience that we are giving them,
mm, mm,
is so different from what it used to be earlier.
mm,
That I believe is because something in us has shifted.
mm,
And that seed, I think, started from that conversation that made us
mm,
more curious to know what
right.
how can, because when we see people in a way that they are living NLP
Right.
top to toe,
Yeah.
you see what difference it can make to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw with Rahul, top to toe, NLP written all over, right?
Guilty as charged.
So that inspired us more to learn this skill, right? Before that,
Yeah.
we knew that there is NLP, we
Mm,
knew basics of it,
yeah.
but we didn't dive deep into it. Now that we are diving deep into it,
Mm.
we can see why Rahul is like Rahul.
I'll take that compliment. No, so let me give you the other side of the same story, right? So we had met, like I said, we had that conversation. You said, "Can I have that gems packet?" And I said, "Oh, sure." And then we kind of like stayed in touch after that. And I forget how you came to the conclusion or how you got to know about the NLP piece. I think it might have been the hypnosis piece,
Yes.
because last year my focus was primarily on hypnosis. And of course, a quick little backstory here is, to reach hypnosis, it started with NLP.
Hmm.
That was
Hmm.
my journey.
Hmm.
So way back 2007, I started with NLP, and then of course I worked with the co-founder of Richard Bandler, as in
Richard
co-founder
Bandler.
Richard Bandler.
Yeah.
Richard Bandler, the co-founder of NLP. So I studied with him for a couple of years. So all of that kind of led me to hypnosis. So when we were
Hmm.
talking last year, I was like, oh yeah, NLP, awesome. Let's talk, because it's like you're my people. So it was coming more from a amazing, like you're looking at NLP. I've like found this love of mine, which is this, the ocean, which is hypnosis. And so I was coming from that space, but just hearing you, and I remember even on the call, like you were sold, and you're like, yes, I really want to do this. Sagar was still, like being himself and just kind of like processing it, but you were like so, you know effusive, like energy, like, yes, wow, this is amazing. Oh, and this happens, and what else happens, and like we literally, I think we ended up having a conversation for some 2 hours or something,
Yes. Yes.
kind of like today. So, but the context is so different, right?
Yeah.
So it was so beautiful to hear that, because for me, when I see somebody who's sensed that, who's tasted that, and is already kind of one foot here, fully present, in as present as we can be as human beings, the other foot is way into the future, where you've seen, oh my god, this can be used for the universe,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
This is my kind of people. So it's not about, hey, join my course, hey, join, as you said, level 1, then level 2. It's none of that. Because I'll tell you one thing, as we start to wrap, this thing that we've talked about now for some time, NLP, treat it like an art form.
Art form. So true.
That means it's like, whether it's yoga, any art form, whether it's painting, dance, whatever. If you treat it like you are the artisan, and every day you show up with the intent, and you show up to do the work, you show up to practice, I can promise you this, your life will be completely different 5 years from now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. I
You
can see
will be
that.
different 5 years
Absolutely.
from now.
Absolutely. 100%. I second that.
So thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for really just being yourself, being you.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank
I am I'm not going to be surprised if there are like some massive ripples after this, right? So, on that very, very high note, I will say this. These are podcasts that happen twice a week. They're recorded live like this twice a week. So, share this, show up, and watch in and as and when you do, because lives work that way. And then, of course, these are edited and then uploaded as podcasts. So, definitely watch them, share them, bookmark them, because that's the intent of how we are doing this, right? It's
yeah.
not just about, let me tell you about my story, but it's really about feeling that spirit and being able to share it, so that it's also quote unquote immortalized, meaning that you can always access it later, right? So thank you once again, Rahat.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rahul, for holding that space for me to be myself. Because it's rare for people to let them be whoever they are,
Mm.
especially like this. And I have discovered more, and I'm going back to watch this
Beautiful,
recording again.
beautiful,
What all did
beautiful.
I tell? I just want to know what I told. So yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome,
Thank you for
awesome.
people who have watched this, who are
Yes,
going to watch this,
yes,
and if
yes.
there's anything that you loved about it, please let us know.
Yeah,
Please write about it so
yeah,
we know what
yeah,
actually helped you.
yeah.
What
We are here
was
to help, honestly.
yes,
That's why we are making we are making ourselves accessible by
yeah,
sharing links, and like DM
absolutely,
us, whatever it is. If this, even if there's been like a pop of a question, share it,
yes, absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Awesome. So, on that happy note, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to now go across to my tab one, which is Facebook. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see your comments and definitely respond to them. And that ends our Facebook Live. And now we are ending our YouTube stream. See you guys soon.
Bye
And
bye.
of course, the last and final piece right here